Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network Fantasy Alarm. Appreciate everyone jumping in here on a Wednesday afternoon. Give you guys some bets for baseball tonight. Give you guys some looks at week 3 and some futures odds for the NFL. We're going to be talking some MVP odds, updated MVP odds, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. And I got Howard Bender with me on this Wednesday. What's up, man?
You know, just kind of sitting here at the desk doing my thing. Business as usual. I wish I had some thrilling or exciting story for you, Servo, but I don't think I've actually, with the exception of maybe changing my shirt, I don't think I've done anything but this right here for, 3 days now.
That is thrilling. That's a thrilling and exciting
story. I know. That's why the family does so well, though, because socially I'm a loser and I just pour everything into work. Let's bet it.
This is what the football season does to you. Monitoring the waiver wire claims, waking up early in the morning to see, all right, who do I get? Who do I need to maybe pick up again? So that's the fantasy football side, but monitoring the NFL odds and all the injury reports, take into account everything. I'm doing college football, so looking at some college football bets that I'll be giving out on tomorrow's show and an article coming up for Fantasy Alarm. So yeah, we're glued into football, and but again, we will be giving out a couple baseball bets for tonight, for Wednesday, if you want to get some action on some of these games. We got some afternoon games going on right now and already wrapped up, but we got some enough games to get some picks on for tonight. So we'll jump into that in just a little bit. If you got any comments, or you got any picks that you want to throw out to us here on the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever, we'll definitely get to those, give our opinions on some of those. If you got any thoughts on these NFL MVP odds, Rookie of the Year odds, guys that you like, guys that you're just avoiding at all costs, definitely hit us up there as well. And let's jump right into it. Looking at the updated NFL MVP odds for the rest of the season, now that we got a couple games in the books here. Tua Tagovailoa is now jumped up to being the betting favorite, above Mahomes, above Josh Allen, above Hurts. Plus 500 are the odds there on FanDuel. Let's start right there before we jump into everyone else, because if you would have said, we were previewing the season, whenever we talked about the Dolphins, whenever we talked about Tua, it was always like, all right, you got to be, it's a risky bet to kind of count on the Dolphins win totals because of what we saw last year with Tua missing time with his concussion issues. It could still happen at any point. He gets hit, he lands badly on the turf, and who knows, he can be out for a few games. So Tua being the betting favorite now at plus 500. What do you think of that?
You know what? I don't see anything wrong with it. And I think it's, I don't think a lot of, most sharps don't bet on these futures, on these awards. And if you are going to bet it, you're certainly not going to bet a guy as risky as Tua, especially as a favorite. Even the preseason odds on Tua were pretty good. I think they were 4th or 5th best, something like that. I mean, listen, comeback player of the year, go ahead. Serve it up to Tua, no problem there. But, I think it's a great commentary on the level of player that he is. I think it's a great commentary on Mike McDaniel and how he's really transformed this Miami offense. This Miami offense is a juggernaut. It's a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And we saw this for the early weeks last year, and, we're going to continue to see it. There's so much. I hope Jalen Waddle's back from the concussion, because that would, I don't want to see poor Tyreek Hill having to fend off every single one of the Broncos this weekend. But, listen, I think that it's a great commentary on what's going on in Miami. And that, to me, when you look at Tua as a favorite there, it's almost like Vegas is suggesting that maybe you invest in the Miami Dolphins for the Super Bowl, or to win the AFC East, or, something like that. When you start seeing odds like that, jump for a player, you kind of have to wonder what's the trickle down aspect of it. And I think it's great. Listen, I had no problem. I think I have a ticket somewhere for Miami to win the AFC East anyway. I think they've got that great of a team.
Yeah, and when you look at their upcoming schedule, they got Denver at home this week. Should be another big stats from Tua and that offense again. But then the next game, they're at Buffalo, and that's a game like if they win that and Tua puts up another big yardage line and all that, and leads the win there on the road, then his odds are going to shorten even more.
Which is fine because you're still not going. I mean, that's like where do the odds have to go for you to want to invest, even just say a unit in a long-term prop for a guy who has concussion problems? I mean, close your eyes and just imagine like his fingers with the fencing that went down that like they focused in on. And now, does that make you want to throw a season, like bring it down to plus 120 that he's that much of the favorite for it? I still don't want to bet it.
No, me neither. Because, as soon as he does have any kind of, concussion scare, the Dolphins are going to now be super cautious about it because they have to. They're going to get so much backlash if they aren't. So, it's a worry. But at the same time, if the Dolphins we look up in January and they are, maybe a 1 or 2 seed in the AFC, then Tua should be, he's obviously would win the MVP over anybody else from the Dolphins. So, that's I'm not surprised at the jump because of the hot start he's had. But yeah, it is a risky way to back him.
I like it. You know what I'd do? Plus 275 on Tua to win comeback player of the year.
Yeah, so
I'll put money on that.
I was looking at that, and DeMar Hamlin is still the favorite though, but he hasn't played yet. Yeah,
no.
So we'll see if he plays. But I think if he does play, then rightfully he should win it because of what happened. But we'll see how much he plays.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how much does he have to play for that to happen? I mean, if he appears in 4 games, are you gonna be like, that's comeback player of the year because he was dead on the field for 7 minutes or however long it was, 11 minutes?
The voters will probably do that. Yeah.
Man, I think if Tua comes back and plays a full season, then I'm like, all right, now I'm betting on plus 275 for that. I don't need to throw it onto the MVP because it's not just the injury that's working against you. It's the fact that what happens if he struggles? What happens if Tyreek Hill gets hurt? What happens if Jalen Waddle gets hurt? And all of a sudden he's not able to, pad those stats the way he wants to.
Yeah. All right. So looking at the other top guys there after Tua, it's Mahomes again, Josh Allen as well. Those guys were preseason. It was like basically 1-2 being the favorites. Hurts there too, though. Tied with Josh Allen plus 1,000. Lamar Jackson plus 1,200. Trevor Lawrence plus 1,200. Burrow dropping a little bit to plus 1,200. I don't know. What do you think of these other top contenders? Guys that you like, guys that you might just say no to.
Listen, if I were to just do a little sprinkle just for funsies here, I would probably do it on Lamar Jackson, right? And I would probably do it on Justin Herbert. I love Trevor Lawrence, I really do. Still a young team, and great stuff could happen for them. I just feel like Kellen Moore's offense is really going to cater to Justin Herbert slinging the rock downfield. It's going to be a real boost with his numbers. If the Chargers don't start winning games, though, then
the thing. That's the thing, because they're 0-2 and they're just, I think it's like a 1-point favorite over the Vikings this week.
Dude, I'm only taking the over. I'm smashing the over in that game. Right? It's 54, and I'm still like, this is just. It's so funny too, because when you look at that game, the defensive numbers, the metrics that everybody's looking at right now for Minnesota, shows that they're actually a good pass defense, above average pass defense right now. And that's so not the case. You have to look at who they played against and what went down in those games. Tampa Bay wasn't throwing the ball all over them. at all. And then who did they lose to?
The Eagles last week ran for like 150 yards or something.
Right? DeAndre Swift just balled out the entire time. He had a touchdown. Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns. So the metrics, when you start looking at things like DVOA and passing yards against and things like that, that's when your knowledge of the actual team itself and the players, and you are mixing that in with the research there. So, these are bad defenses. These are both bad defenses. And, they're both potentially potent, high scoring offenses. I mean, that's just, whatever. If the football gods, who clearly hate me, after Aaron Rodgers and Nick Chubb, if they want to, mess with me a little bit, then, then all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe somehow, some way that game is rained on or something like that. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think it's in a dome, right? Is
it's
it
in a dome. Yeah, it's in Minnesota. Yeah.
There's gonna be a leak in the roof or something like that. I'm gonna get screwed that way. But so Justin Herbert, I think, they definitely need to win some games. But I think that him and Lamar Jackson are probably my two. I would kind of pull back there. Brock Purdy, I wish didn't have so many great names next to him. You have McCaffrey, and you've got Ayuk, and you've got Debo. So Brock Purdy, I think, is in a great situation, but he's not a name that I would look at. I got plus 2,000 there. Ooh, you want to, but he can't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Lamar Jackson call at plus 1,200. And I do like the Trevor Lawrence one. I do think that if the Jaguars start winning, start reeling off more wins here, that the offense did not look great last week against the Chiefs, but I think if they could bounce back and start reeling off wins, especially in that AFC South when they start playing the Colts and the Texans, I like Trevor Lawrence in that one. I do think that the Lamar Jackson one's a great call because the Ravens are primed to be a top seed in the AFC, especially with just if the Bengals are not going to turn things around and Burrow, Burrow's one I would not bet on because we need to see him and the receivers click, and we need to see Burrow what he is.
I'll bet you Burrow doesn't even play this week. I don't think he plays on Monday night.
Yeah, it's a big question mark. But yeah, the ones I mean. Obviously, Josh Allen, Mahomes, and even Hurts. I mean, Hurts almost won it last year. But yeah, I think if you're rooting for a guy to take a step up, it is Herbert. I mean, Lamar Jackson's been there, done that, and then Trevor Lawrence, another guy to take a step up. We got M Rojas. I think Michael Rojas commenting on the YouTube chat says, "Want to sprinkle Bijan Robinson at plus 10,000 odds at the very least." Offensive player of the year at plus 3,000 odds. He is so the highest non-quarterbacks in the odds. Micah Parsons is at plus 6,000. And then we do have Tyreek Hill at plus 5,000, Christian McCaffrey at plus 7,500. And then it is Bijan Robinson though at plus 10,000 as the I guess the fourth highest odds. But I mean, listen, I think we can kind of transition right over into the offensive player of the year odds here because, him at plus 3,000 as offensive player of the year is one I'd rather bet on rather than MVP. You could see the odds here. Justin Jefferson at plus 600, the betting favorite. McCaffrey plus 650, Tyreek Hill plus 700. Those are kind of the clear top three, and then the odds kind of lengthen after that. But I don't know. What do you think about Bijan there at the bottom of these odds on the screen?
He has to just continue doing what he's doing. I mean, I don't hate a little sprinkle on Bijan for that. I think that it's a good spot. I mean, he's like plus 175 or something like that for offensive rookie of the year. A safer bet. And if you want to just you bet that because you feel really good about it. And then you turn around and sprinkle a little on this for offensive player of the year. Yeah, I definitely think that that's a possibility. Unfortunately, though, I think he needs to lead the league in rushing if he's going to get offensive player of the year. I think he needs to lead the league in rush. Not something insurmountable because, when you look at it, I'm sure, McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, running backs like that, they're going to get, they're going to get a lot of it through the pass catching as well. But I think so. Bijan needs to, dominate in the rushing yards and stay in that active passing game. I don't mind it. Listen, I've been winning money on Bijan since he got drafted in the NFL.
He's still splitting carries with Tyler Algier there, so we'll see about the rushing yards. But he is involved as a receiver.
Look at the carries, look at the snaps. I mean, that's the thing, and I think that everybody needs to pay attention to that kind of stuff, because I think it's just a matter before Tyler Algier gets phased out a little bit. And just to prove my point here, snap counts week 1, Bijan Robinson 63%, 56% to Tyler Algier. This week, 72% for Bijan Robinson, 44% for Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier is a good solid, if the game's in hand in the second half, we're going to utilize him, and if we're looking to still run the ball early in the second half, fresh legs from him out of halftime, absolutely. Yeah. But Bijan's their guy. He is their number one, and it's just, he'll be seeing the majority of the snaps and touches, and Algier will just kind of fade into the background in a couple more weeks, I think.
Going back to those odds, I think there's a good chance that you can take a shot on Stefon Diggs at plus 3,000. I think there's a chance because he's still, he's the top receiver for Josh Allen there, and he's the top weapon. I feel like as the Bills offense starts clicking more, and we just saw it in week 2, I think there's a chance he could rise up these odds. Tony Pollard too at plus 3,000. Because I think the Cowboys they're going to be riding Pollard. We've seen it already. His snap share, his carries. He is now the guy with Zeke gone, and he's going to be putting up some big numbers. Especially with the Cowboys, probably with their defense, they're just going to be, I think, winning a lot of games, especially by multiple scores. So we could see a lot of carries from Pollard here. He's the guy at plus 3,000. I thought maybe his odds would be shorter by now because, he's early in the year. He's another guy that's he could be up there to lead the league in rushing this season too.
Well, then he has to do that there also, because what you're looking at in the sense for Pollard, you've got, Dallas's defense has been amazing. And how do how much better does Pollard have to be in order for everybody to forget about Micah Parsons, who, is just, a killer, and what that Dallas defense does. But on the offensive front, you still have CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. Should be interesting to see what happens with Brandon Cooks coming back. No, I'm just, it's just one of those things where I don't know about Pollard. Pollard needs a lot to break his way in order to do that. And he needs to outshine basically CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. And so it just kind of depends on who the names are and, what kind of adjustments. Diggs, I think, is a great call. Diggs, he is the number one offensive weapon for that Buffalo team right now. And he's going to lead the team in targets, lead the team in all offensive categories, including nose hair. And he'll end up turning around. Come on, right? Major League. How do you not get into that you fall into that quote every time?
I wasn't expected to hear that.
Every time it's like instinct for me now. It's like breathing. It's just quote Major League when you talk about, leading the league in offensive categories. But Diggs is that guy, and he'll easily outshine everybody else. He'll even outshine Josh Allen, because Josh Allen will make his mistakes and stuff like that. Stefon Diggs will be, everybody will just be like, wow, look at that dude's amazing. Nobody's counting nobody's looking at the drops at all. So
he's gonna have 7 catches for 120 yards when even if the Bills do end up losing and Allen throws a pick or two.
Totally.
So those are the offensive player of the year odds. I do think it's you're looking at non or quarterbacks, but non-skill players that are in this category, because we've seen that in the past where a different quarterback wins the MVP, then we have a different quarterback winning the offensive player of the year. And the top quarterbacks in these odds are Jalen Hurts plus 2,500, Lamar Jackson. If he doesn't win MVP, he could easily win Offensive Player of the Year plus 3,400. Looking further down, like Mahomes is at plus 3,500, Tua at plus 3,500. So if you want to take a shot on one of these guys to win Offensive Player of the Year, if you don't think they can do the whole, lock down the MVP, then I think that's an avenue at some long odds. But I mean, honestly, it is usually we get, a non-quarterback winning the Offensive Player of the Year because it's just kind of how it goes because no one wants to vote for those guys for MVP. So, all right. So let's turn it to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kind of keeping the Bijan Robinson talk going because he is the betting favorite at plus 210 to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Anthony Richardson, though, there at plus 220, not far behind. And then Puka Nacua rising up, plus 600 now. He has skyrocketed. Same thing with Zay Flowers, for that matter, now plus 1,200. But for Puka Nacua to now rise into the number 3 spot in these odds is, all credit to him. He's taken full advantage of Cooper Kupp not being there. And he's put up some monster stats in the first 2 games. If he keeps doing this every week, he will quickly, his odds will still shorten. And it'll be him and Bijan probably for the top 2.
Yeah, if it continues. Like, if I'm betting this now, I'll do Zay Flowers.
Yeah, you missed your value bet on Puka. Like, if you could have done this before week 1, but now that it's a plus 600, I think you missed your window. But yeah, go for Zay Flowers because I like that one too.
Yeah, I would rather do Zay Flowers because he stands a better chance of doing it the entire season, of turning into Lamar Jackson's number 1 target. With Puka Nacua, we don't know what's going on when Cooper Kupp comes back. What's the target share going to look like? Right now you look at it and Puka Nacua is getting like mad crazy targets. Tutu Atwell is getting good, solid, strong targets as well. Do they just, does Cooper Kupp slide into the Puka Nacua role, and then Puka Nacua falls into that Tutu Atwell role, or does Cooper Kupp just take that Tutu Atwell role, and all of a sudden, like, he's the one who's getting the second most targets? Like, we have too much to kind of look into it. If you want to sprinkle a little something at it right now, this is probably the best chance that you have. Servo's right. If you didn't bet it before the season started, when you had that value, because the odds immediately over the last 2 weeks have just plummeted. Yeah, plummeted. But Zay Flowers, I think, Odell Beckham's banged up already. Rashad Bateman is okay, but I think Zay Flowers really stands a strong chance here of being that player. So yeah, I like that for, what is it, plus 1,200?
Plus 1,200, yeah. I'll be honest, at the beginning of, when the draft happened, the NFL draft, I hated the landing spot for Zay Flowers because I wanted him coming out of Boston College. I knew he was going to be a top talent, and I wrote him up when we did NFL draft previews, and I wrote up a bunch of prospects. And before the draft, Zay Flowers was up there with some of these, with the Jackson Smith and Jigbas and the top rookie receivers coming out. And honestly, I didn't like the landing spot for Zay Flowers because they had so many mouths to feed. Mark Andrews being like the number 1 target in that offense, them signing Odell Beckham, and just a bunch of guys, and still like Lamar and now Dobbins is hurt, but originally it was like, all right, they're going to run it a lot with Dobbins and Jackson anyway. But he's merged. Maybe Mark Andrews' early season injury has helped, but Flowers has emerged as like the top playmaker in this offense, top weapon for Lamar Jackson, a legit, game-breaking talent. And I think that they can easily just keep feeding him the ball because this guy is a lightning bolt. And I'm a huge fan of him. So my view of it has changed because I think Todd Monken is now, that change in the offensive scheme where they're going with more passing and letting Lamar sling it more. And Zay Flowers is taking full advantage of being like the top weapon there. And you mentioned if Odell, he could have an injury lingering all season. And with Dobbins being out there, then they are probably going to be throwing it more anyway. So yeah, the Zay Flowers call on that is good. I do think there's value now on Jahmyr Gibbs, because I think his odds have now lengthened because the early season, the David Montgomery has been more the guy there. But I feel like as the season goes on, we're going to see more and more of Gibbs in the Lions game plan offensively. And I feel like he could be like maybe in these early weeks, his stats aren't like popping off the screen, but I feel like maybe by midseason and once we get into the later stages of the year, he could be a true, legit stud. And his odds are probably, plus 1,600. I forget what they were at the beginning of the season, but it was basically Bijan, Gibbs, and then, like Stroud and Bryce Young, I feel like at the top. So the odds have kind of gone the other way because he's gotten off to a slower start. But I think there's value on there now.
Oh, there's definite value there now. If you believe in Gibbs and you believe that Dan Campbell will figure out exactly how to use this weapon, now is the time to do it. Because I'll tell you what, if he has a good game this Sunday, then those odds are going to start to drop.
Yeah.
So if you're going to bet it right now, if you believe in Gibbs, this is like the ideal time to bet it because the odds are great. And, yes, if he has another crap game next week, are the odds going to, go up even more? Yeah, probably. But they'll probably just kind of hover him in the middle because they don't want to make him too much of a long shot because of his upside. So he'll kind of hover in this, plus 1,200 to 1,700 range. He'll kind of sitting there 1,200 to 1,600 range is probably where, you're going to see him fluctuate. But yeah, the moment though he has a good game, odds are going to shoot back up. So if you believe in him, bet it now.
What do you think about Anthony Richardson now jumping, ahead of the other rookie quarterbacks in Bryce Young and CJ Stroud? Richardson is now, he's second behind Bijan, and now, pretty much well ahead of Stroud and Young, who've gotten off the slower starts. And Richardson he's flashed when he's been on there. So what do you think about his rise?
In all honesty, I don't want to bet any futures for Anthony Richardson. Not at all, because here's the deal. Jim Bob Cooter, the offensive coordinator, came out and said, we're not going to adjust anything with Anthony Richardson. He's going to play his game. We're not going to worry here about the concussions. Dude got his bell rung in week 1, and then he left week 2 with a concussion. He definitely needs to learn how to slide, and he can start to work on that part of his game and afford it. However, I'm not going to invest in any kind of future bet for Anthony Richardson right now because I have a very hard time believing that he finishes the season if things stay the way they stay right now. I get it. You don't want to take him out of his game and you don't want him to do something completely different because we've seen that fail with other quarterbacks, i.e. RG3. So
yeah,
the fact though that he's just at such a risk right now, back to back getting, with the head injury makes me off of him completely. I just don't want to bet it. I wish him nothing but the best, and I'm totally rooting for him, and I have him on some fantasy teams. But if I'm going to put my money in on something, I got to keep the risk out. I think it's as risky as betting a future on Tua Tagovailoa right now as well. I think they both stand a very, very risky chance of missing time and therefore just taking you out of the running.
Yeah, that's a really good call because, again, going back to the draft season, NFL draft, the big thing with Richardson was like, all right, he's got the athletic, the arm strength, all the upside in the world, but his lack of starting experience in college was a worry. And I think this goes hand in hand with his playing style, where he's got to learn how to slide more, protect himself more. And honestly, in college, he wasn't able to do that a lot because I think he only started like 13 career games at Florida. Was a backup to Kent, who's the Kyle Trask at Florida for a year. And then, he barely got any starting experience to really learn how to, all right, like this is how I protect myself. This is how I, can slide and still be good to go. And he, learning that as a rookie in the NFL is tough. So I think it's a good call on that to kind of stay away from Richardson there. So yeah, those are some rookie of the year odds, current rookie of the year odds. We'll be updating this. Be nice to take a stand or a look at these. Halfway through the season, see where things are standing. We'll see if Puka Nacua's odds are still this good or what the deal is there. But it'll be good to monitor. And by the way, if you haven't already, go check out Fantasy Alarm's All Pro subscription. We keep pumping it up, but we got awesome content every week there. And this week, obviously with NFL DFS content for week 3, you got to get in on there now. Go download go scan that QR code right there. But if you go to fantasyalarm.com/NFL, you can get that free All Pro subscription, free 7-day trial. And then you can join up once you win some money in DFS or win some money with these bets. All right, let's flip the script to some baseball here. Finish out the show, giving out a few baseball picks for Wednesday night slate. A few games on the schedule here. Let's get to our best bets. So what's your best bet tonight, Howard?
Best bet tonight, Detroit taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm going to take the over 8 runs. I saw it at -112 on DraftKings. It's about the pitching matchup for me. We're, kind of at the tail end. Bobby Miller against Reese Olson. I think, both pitchers are competent pitchers. I think they're good, but I'm not going to be like, wow, they're going to shut down the offenses completely and everybody's going to go banana cakes. I think the Dodgers, listen, when you've got a team like the Dodgers, might as well. I thought 8 was a relatively low number, so I will I'll take the over on that, and if it goes to 8, I push, and I feel good about it.
All right, I'm going with the Rays, Tampa Bay Rays on the run line. I just think they're going to get another comfortable, easy win against the Angels at home here. The Angels offense with Shohei Ohtani out has looked very lifeless. They got multiple guys out now besides Ohtani, but averaging only barely over 2 runs per game in their current 6-game losing streak are the Angels. Their numbers against right-handed pitching are horrendous. 250 WOBA, 36% strikeout rate over the past week against righties. It's Aaron Savali for the Rays, who's, honestly, he's had some shakier outings since coming over in the trade. But I think he's going to have success in this matchup. And then the Rays have a lot of their top arms available in the bullpen to kind of clean it up and hold things down later on to make sure that they get this win. Because this is a big, series, against the Angels where they need to win all these games to really try to pull, closer to the Orioles in that AL East division. They did it last night. They won 6-2. I think they do it again tonight. Reed Detmer's on the mound for the Angels, has a 5.94 ERA since the beginning of August, has multiple blow-ups too in this stretch, and the Rays are crushing left-handed pitching, 389 WOBA, 244 ISO over the past 2 weeks against lefties. So I think the Rays get an easy win here, and they're favored by, I think it's like -220 or something on the money line, but take the run line because I think even at home, I think they win by 2+ runs here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm going to throw a little prop in there it might help support it in that sense. Reed Detmer's under 4.5 strikeouts. You look at the Rays in general, right? Against left-handed pitching over the past month, struck out 15.4% of the time. And the 3 biggest offenders of that are Randy Arozarena, Harold Ramirez, and Christian Bethancourt. Right. And they've, those are the only ones who have struck out more, but those guys, their weighted on base average against lefties has been absolutely fantastic. So Detmer's his strikeout rate has dropped significantly over the past month anyway, month and a half, actually. So to go under 4.5 strikeouts, I'm in on that.
All right. Yeah, that correlates right with my play there. And hopefully, the Rays get to him. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh Pirates team total under 3.5.
Come on. Stacks is in the chat and he's got a Pirates
I know.
logo.
I just saw
you're
his
going to do
logo.
him like that? Wow.
I'm sorry. They could still win the game, but I think they're going under 3.5 team total here. They scored 1 run last night against the Cubs, and now they have to face Justin Steele on the mound for Chicago, who's we all know he's been lights out at home this season. He's got a 2.18 ERA and a 2.64 FIP at home this year. Kind of night and day compared to on the road. He's got 3.55 ERA on the road, but he blew up on the road last start against the Diamondbacks, but I think he's going to bounce back here. He's got to strengthen that NL Cy Young case for the rest of the season, and this is one of his only 2 chances left, I think, to do it. I think he's going to have a really good outing because the Pirates' offense against left-handed pitching over the past 2 weeks, just a 2.65 WOBA and a 30% strikeout rate too, which is another play I'm going to throw out here. I like Justin Steele over 5.5 strikeouts to go hand in hand here because
you're just slapping Stacks
I'm
around,
sorry,
man.
Stacks, but listen, I was surprised to see this line at 5.5, and it might have moved since we've gone live here, but he's had at least 6 strikeouts in 9 straight home starts, Justin Steele, and he's had 6 strikeouts or more in 10 of his last 12 starts overall coming into tonight. So, maybe it's a trap or whatever, but I think Steele gets at least 6 Ks and really shuts down this Pirates offense at home tonight.
Man, Stacks, you okay? You all right? Because, if Servo's going to try and bully you like that, well, I'm going to just follow suit with Servo, and I'm going to say Seiya Suzuki over 1.5 total bases tonight against Mitch Keller. Why? Because Mitch Keller has been I used to love Mitch Keller. I don't love him so much right now. Last 50 right-handed batters that he's faced, they've posted a 355 weighted on base average against him. And if you look at Seiya Suzuki, how about this? How about these numbers here? Over his last 85 at-bats against right-handed pitching. I love when we find like little nuggets like this.
Yeah.
333 isolated power mark. Like 160 is about average for isolated power. So last 85 at-bats against right-handed pitching, a 333 isolated power mark, a 449 weighted on base average, right? And he's only struck out 21.2% of the time against right-handers over the last month with a 53% hard hit contact rate. Come on.
Wow.
Seiya Suzuki over 1.5 total bases. I went over to FanDuel, right? And I got it from I got 2+ total bases. So that's it. Boom. Bing bang.
There you
boom,
go.
boom.
Plus money, plus 120 too.
Just a
like
double, and I'm in the clear.
This is a good call because I looked at the full game under for Pirates Cubs, but ultimately I was like, Mitch Keller, man, he has some blow ups. Like he could easily blow up again here. So I'm with you. I think I don't know what the odds are, but I do think Cubs should win this game with Justin Steele on the mound. They're probably big
Cubs
favorites.
Cubs are like a minus 180 money line favorite.
That's tough. If you want to throw that in a parlay or something, but I do think, Keller against Steele is a mismatch. And
parlay it with our props. See what that turns into.
There you go. Yeah, Cubs money line, Steele strikeouts, and Suzuki total bases. Go for it. All right, so that's about it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, here on Bettor Sports Betting. We'll be breaking down the Giants 49ers Thursday night football game, giving out some best bets and props for that game. Me and James Grande back on the show tomorrow. And then Friday, come back for Howard back on Bettor Sports Betting. We'll be giving out all of our NFL Week 3 best bets and picks and props and all that good stuff on Friday's show. So
15-3 through the first 2 weeks on this show. 15-3.
Wow. Cash it. All right.
Some's got to pay for my hat collection here, right? Come on.
That's already paid off. Don't worry. All right, coming up after us, by the way, Quick Pitch MLB DFS live show with John and Pemba and Colby Conway coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern, the Sports Bettor Court show with Dan Lust, and 7 p.m. Eastern, Lisa Ann does Fantasy Bettor with Howard Bender co-hosting there with Lisa, and then 9 p.m. Eastern, Dynasty Nerds with Garrett Price. So stay tuned all night long here on Bettor Sports Network with your fantasy football, your MLB, DFS, and sports betting advice from everyone here at BSN. Appreciate everyone jumping in here on a Wednesday. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Betting. And good luck with all your bets tonight. Later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.